people always say, as a reporter, what was the biggest change that you were able to see or experience or witness there? And, without missing a beat, I always say Weibo, or social media. Weibo is Chinese Twitter, basically, although it's a catch-all phrase. There are several different Weibo companies. Sina Weibo is the most famous. There are several others involved. But I say it was the most fascinating change to me in China because it did several things at once. And I'll tell you first how I came about Weibo. I didn't really know much about it, and it was only coming in around 2009, which was good because my period in China coincided almost exactly with the rise of Weibo and social media there. I was in China, and as always, as a foreign correspondent, the first thing you do is look in the local newspapers as your tip sheet to try to find stories that you're going to write about. So I was flipping through a few Chinese papers there, and I saw a story out of Shanghai about a young man who was a driver. His name was Sun Zhangxie. He had actually been a driver for a private company. He was driving along the road one day on a delivery for his company, and someone flagged him down for a lift. So he gave this person a lift in his car, in his company truck, and a few meters down the road, he was stopped by the police who said, "You're operating as an illegal taxi." And he was fined, and he had his license taken away for a brief while. Now, because of this fine, he lost his job as a driver for this company. Now, he thought this was quite unfair, and he went to the courts for redress. He said, "Look, I was just giving somebody a lift who flagged me down. I'm not operating an illegal taxi." It turns out this was an entrapment scheme by the Shanghai police. They'd been doing this for hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, of drivers, just kind of putting someone on the side of the road to flag them down, give them a lift, and then down the road they'd be stopped and ticketed for being an illegal taxi service. So this young man went to the courts. Of course, they wouldn't take any listen to him, threw his case out. So what happened was he took a pretty dramatic gesture. He stood in front of the courthouse and gathered a few local journalists around and chopped off his little finger. He chopped as a sign of protest. Now this sort of pretty dramatic protest probably had been going on for decades in China. The difference is we never would have heard about it before. And sitting in Beijing, all of a sudden this guy's story went viral. And I'm sitting in Beijing, and I heard about it, and I said, well, boy, I got to get down there and see what this was about. So I went down there and found other drivers who were standing outside the courthouse because of this one young man's dramatic gesture, who were out there protesting, demanding that the courts hear their case. And I wrote a story, basically in that story in late 2009, saying that something's changing in China because the courts eventually decided to rehear all of these cases and refund all of these fines that had been issued.